I'm not sure what I was expecting when I picked up On Writing by Stephen King, but the thing is, this book on writing was a mindset shift for me. As you can see, I'm holding the Swedish version of Stephen King's autobiography / writing book on writing. I read this book years ago for the first time and again like 2 years ago. The thing is, this book really changed the way I write. It changed the way that I think about storytelling, discipline, creativity, and honestly, a bit of how I think about life. Because if you're a writer and thinking about writing, there are some really great lessons in on writing that I'm going to share with you that hit me the hardest. And I think that they might change the way you write too. So King says that you should put your desk in the corner, not in the center of the room, not on display. Why does he say this? Because life isn't a support system for our art. It's the other way around. When I read this line, I actually stopped, because this actually made me realize that, I don't have to have a perfect writing routine. I don't have to, wait for the time when I feel inspired, when I have the energy and stuff like that. If I want to write, I should treat it more like a job and sit down and just write. Because, with my job, I will just go to the office whether I feel like it or not. It doesn't matter. And the same with my writing. I want to take my writing seriously. I'm treating my writing as a business, and I want to make money off of my art, and that is why I also have to treat it much more seriously. And putting the desk in the corner is a reminder that we as artists also, we have to be very humble when it comes to our art. Because if I put my desk in the middle of the room, that will say that I'm important. What I'm doing is such a cool, I don't know, it's more or less a status thing, right? But if I put my desk in the corner, that will force me to remember to be humble about my art and to not take things for granted. And it's also, about the fact that I can't just have rituals chasing inspiration. I have to keep on showing up consistently, repeatedly, again and again if I want to make art. King also talks about the fact that you should build some sort of writer's toolbox. And this isn't just about collecting like fancy words and literary tricks, but it's about developing real skills, vocabulary, grammar, clarity, and carrying this toolbox with you wherever you go. Because writing isn't just about creativity, it's about having the right tools, knowing when to use them. And when I feel stuck, I have to remind myself that what tools am I missing, and not to think what's wrong with me. That shift alone actually saved me from a lot of doubt when it comes to my writing, because now I know that writing is a lot about developing. I think this is why I also got into writing from the beginning. I love the fact that I, continuously have to learn and continuously can improve. Because no matter what, I will never be, my writing will never be perfect. It's the same with my job as a marketer. One strategy might work 1 or 2 or 3 times, but the 4th time it will not work, because the way like the world around us shifts. I have to, in my day job, also, learn the new algorithms and see what works now. And the same with writing. I have to keep on developing all the time. And yeah, that shift from going from like thinking that I was a bad writer to realizing I don't yet have the right tools, that was great. So now I take the time to, take a step back and actually make sure that I practice and that I get better. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing that I haven't done yet is I've started reading a bit more poetry, and I want to start writing more poetry, because that way I think I can learn a bit better about words and how to maybe write more beautiful. I don't know what it will give, but I'm thinking about doing that as the next step, to add some poetry to my writer's toolbox. And let me know, do you think about like writing as a craft like this? Do you see that you have some sort of writer's toolbox, or is this super weird that I'm talking about it like this. Please let me know in the comments and tell me what's the tools that you're trying to learn right now. And another one of my favorite lines is the book is this. When you write the story, you're telling yourself the story. When you rewrite it, your main job is taking out the things that are not the story. This really hits me hard because I used to keep everything, every phrase, every extra paragraph. But now when I rewrite, I'm ruthless. I cut away things and, I can remove entire chapters because if it's not important for the story, I will not let it be there. This is something that I learned a lot from the book Story Engineering as well, where every scene has to matter. And I think that there's some writing book that even goes deeper, that every line has to matter. But I'm not that deep yet. I'm going to read that book later. But yeah, this is so important to me because I do have quite an easy time writing a lot of words. That's no problem for me. But then you have to condense it down and rework it for it to become something great. So this was also a great reminder in King's book. And this book, for those of you who haven't read it, it's a bit like, he talks a lot about his life generally and as a writer. But then he adds in like tips on writing and tools and stuff like that. So it's not like your normal writing handbook. This one is a bit different, but I definitely recommend it. And this is one of the books that I hear most writers recommend. And speaking of reading, King likes to keep it simple. If you want to be a writer, you should write a lot and you should read a lot. This is one of the things that he talks a lot about. And this is one of the things that I agree completely with. If you want to be a writer, you have to read a lot and you have to write a lot. There's no way around it, no secret formula, no cheating. Like, because the thing is, if you don't like to read, then what's the point of being a writer? Because when you've finished your manuscript, you've finished your book, the thing that you expect your readers, not only do you expect your reader to pay to read your book, you also expect to take quite a lot of time from them. It's a big investment that we ask our readers to give us as writers. And if we don't read ourselves, then what's the point? I started writing because I love reading. And that's like being a chef and you don't like food, or I don't know, being a painter and you don't like art. It's impossible. You have to learn from others to improve your craft. I think this is so important. And I think that some writers actually forget about this and they don't read as much as they actually should, because that would help them improve their writing a lot more. And yes, I know that some are like, oh, but I don't have time to read. Yes, you do. You prioritize not to. You could cut away some of the time that you spend watching TV in the evening and spend that on reading. I read half an hour every night before bed, and that really it's such a blissful time, and it actually helps me sleep better. So, and I also sometimes I read on the subway and when I get to and from the office and stuff like that. So, and I listen to audiobooks when I'm on the go. So there are ways around it. Don't give yourself excuses for not reading, please. And honestly, like hearing this advice from one of the most successful authors alive, it's a bit of a relief since I also have this belief. And yeah, this also means that we need to have a lot of practice when it comes to writing. Speaking of that, King has such a rigorous writing routine. He used to get up and walk for 1 hour and then he sat down and wrote 2,000 words. One of the keys of getting everything done is for him to avoid distractions. So I think this is a quote from a book, but he said that he would write the first manuscript with the door closed and then edit with the doors open. And this basically means that he will write, no distractions, not listening to anyone, just be in the manuscript. And then he will edit, he will let other people in, look at feedback, and be a little bit more like open, I guess. But I really think he has a cool writing routine. And last year, I think it was roughly a year ago, I actually tried out his writing routine for 3 days. And here are some clips from it. Good morning, it's 6:15 on Sunday morning, and day one of trying Stephen King's writing routine. So it's 6:30 now, and there's not that many people outside. It's really amazing, actually. My eyes are running. I don't know why. I'm probably allergic to something, but it's going great. I like taking a walk so far in the morning, but I've only walked for like 15 minutes, so it's not that much yet. I guess one of the advantages of walking, the first thing that you do is that you can actually think about your manuscript and reflect over like where you are in the story, where you want it to go, and stuff like that. I'm currently editing. I just got back my manuscript from the editor, so I'm editing and going through all the editor's notes, and there are actually a few things that I need to consider, like whether or not to follow her advice or not. For me, being in the manuscript is one of the most important things. When I'm writing, I need to live in my manuscript and be there all the time. So I really, really liked his writing routine. Another line that stuck with me was, write what you like, then imbue with it life and make it unique by blending your own personal knowledge of life, friendship, relationships, sex, and work, especially work. People love to read about work, and God knows why, but they do. And the last part surprised me, especially the work thing, but it also makes sense because people love to read about real things, real life stuff, real struggles. And now I try to blend real life stories into my work, not because I'm special, but because, the more specific I get and the more relatable my stories will become. And I think that really getting readers to feel what I'm trying to tell. King says that dialogue is what brings characters to life. And if your dialogue sounds like writing, then it's wrong. Because when I read this, I've started reading my dialogue out loud to hear so that they doesn't sound fake and that it doesn't sound like plastered. Writing dialogue is one of the hardest things to get it great, I think. I think it's a lot easier, like when you watch a TV series or when you watch a movie, just to see if the dialogue works or not, because then you see it and you hear it. But when you're reading, it's all in your head. You're making the voices yourself, the pace that they're talking in yourself and stuff like that. So I think this is what makes it a little bit harder, the fact that writing great dialogue, at least for me. So this is something that I'm working on improving, and getting this advice from King was super great, because this means that I can read my dialogue out loud and see if it actually works. And here's another thing that really freed me up. He says that good fictions begins with story and progresses to theme. It almost never begins with theme. Different people say different things about this. So I used to start sometimes with message when I wrote, but it's quite a relief to hear that I don't have to. I don't have to know what the core message of my story is. I can figure that out later. Sometimes, you just get an idea and you just want to write out story. And that feels good to hear, that I can do that and I can figure out what the theme is about later. King says that if you start with a good story, the meaning will reveal itself along the way. And you know what? I think he's right. So On Writing is the kind of book that I wish that I read when I started writing. Honestly, it's practical, it's inspiring, and it's written by someone who actually knows the work. And if you're serious about your writing, I definitely would recommend that you read this book. And if you've already read it, I wonder, what stuck with you? What are the key lessons that you take from King? And if you want more videos like this, let me know. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.